Hey, I'm Butterfly.
Hey, I'm Firefly.
Have you ever wondered if we aren't being told the truth about everything?
What have we been lied to about? Join us as we have conversations and ask questions about everything. We invite you to keep an open mind and consider the unfathomable.
Let's break the chains that enslave our minds. Come on, let's go down the rabbit hole.
What's up, Butterfly?
Hey, Firefly, what's going on?
Dude, I'm so stoked. We're going to do another episode.
I know.
I did some homework.
You did homework.
I did homework.
And you have some kind of really good points that we need to go over.
Well, there was a couple of podcasts that I kind of caught up on over the weekend.
Okay.
One of them was Joe Rogan talking to Charlie Sheen.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
No.
And it was just kind of
That kind of
interesting.
makes me feel like taking a shower.
Yeah, Charlie.
Kind of gross.
You know what's so funny? I love Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen's like an older brother that I grew up with. Because, dude, like Platoon came out when I was like 11,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then, dude, he did Young Guns.
Well,
Dude, I loved that.
I kind of always thought he was super cute, and he was in that movie, Lucas. Remember?
Yeah, Lucas.
Lucas, I loved that movie because that girl, the main girl, that was totally me. Like that was totally me in high school. I was that girl. Like you know, I was the cheerleader. I had the high school football player boyfriend, but I was always friends with like everybody. You know what I mean?
Well, didn't you
So
say that
I
about your?
totally related to that
It was
girl.
your astrological sign. Remember you did that? Remember you
Yes.
did your reading?
Yeah,
Or what's it called?
my charts.
Your chart. So you had your
Yeah.
chart, and in your chart, one of the things it says is, well, you're gonna like always befriend like drug addicts and people who have messed up lives.
Did it say it like
It
that?
wasn't like that,
Kind
but
of
it's like
said
kind
like
of along those lines.
people who are wounded or need help. Like I
Yeah.
know
So
I
like
am like that.
you
I
kind of
like
are
to
like a
help
bleeding
people.
heart.
I like to help people.
You're like a bleeding heart. So
Yeah.
anyways,
I root for the underdogs.
so you don't root for Charlie Sheen anymore.
I don't root for him anymore. I heard some stories about him that kind of grossed me out. But
I know.
anyway, let's move on.
I won't tell you my stories then. So anyways, so he's talking to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there just kind of like, so what I realized is that Joe Rogan is where you go to listen to nothing for 3.5 hours.
Right.
He's not going to tell you anything
Mm-mm.
that's real. And he's not going to tell you anything that's like getting to where the rubber meets the road, like the brass facts about what's going on in this country.
Right.
He's not gonna.
No.
But
he's just gonna gloss over the top.
So they start talking about conspiracy theories.
Oh.
You know? Well, first of all, so Charlie Sheen just wrote a book.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So he wrote a book. I'm probably going to go get it. There's a documentary on Netflix that was premiered too.
Okay.
So he wrote a book and a documentary. So when you're in the Culture Club,
when you're in the Culture Club, you get to have like books and
documentaries.
Yeah.
And then they had like a full-on release party, and he had like a full-on Netflix like premiere for his documentary.
Wow.
So he gets to launch his book into like the New York Times bestseller list.
It was already a bestseller before they even sold one.
It's probably, yeah.
So, I'm sure he didn't even write it.
So he's
got
the
like
Culture Club.
He's got a whole crew writing it for him.
No, he even said he's got somebody he's writing it with.
Yeah.
So all he does is just kind of look back on his life. Well, he looks back on his life and just remembers funny stories, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
So it's a bunch of stories and anecdotes. And anyways, so he's talking with Joe Rogan about the process of writing the book.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, my memory is kind of faulty.
Well, he was doing a lot of drugs.
He was doing a lot of drugs, for sure. But then he's also like saying, you know, memory is kind of weird because you might remember something the way it happened, but you might be remembering what somebody said, or you might be remembering like what you said about something that wasn't actually true.
Is that called the what do they call that? The something effect where you don't quite remember it the way it actually was. What is that?
I don't know.
Oh gosh, it's
Mandela effect.
Mandela effect.
Okay.
Yeah, where you remember something, but then like it's not exactly
Like,
the way.
did Felix the cat have a little cape and like now he doesn't?
Yeah,
You know,
that
it's
kind
like
of
one
thing.
of those
It
things.
seems sort of like that.
Well, what he's saying is, he's talking about his life and he's talking about very real things that can affect people. He can get sued for libel because
Oh yeah.
so he's making sure that everything in the book is accurate. So then Joe Rogan's listening. He goes, "Well, the human brain actually sucks. Brains, brains suck." And that's why these transhumanisms, and he's kind of talking about then, so he starts getting into like, well, that's why you go get a chip and you get
What?
enhanced, and he's like kind of talking about how enamored he is with Peter Thiel and with Elon Musk and transhumanism,
So
you know?
he's like pushing the idea that it would be better for us to be improved by a brain chip.
Yeah, your brain
Oh, wow.
sucks. Go get a chip.
Yeah.
So that's what he's espousing.
Interesting.
Then the conversation turns to how Joe Rogan had Oliver Stone. And Oliver Stone, I don't know if you remember back in like 91, he did JFK.
Yeah.
And it was like this movie where he gives his alternative reading on the JFK thing.
Uh-huh.
But the JFK movie is kind of a limited hangout
Right.
because they don't mention that country from 1948.
No, they leave certain key tidbits out of the story.
Yeah, so you're
Yeah.
really not really going down the rabbit hole. They go to Baker and like hang out in Baker.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe Rogan hangs out in Baker. So him and Charlie Sheen start talking, and they're talking about JFK, and they're talking about all the anomalies that you and I had talked about,
Yeah.
but they don't bring up that country from 1948 at all.
They purposely leave that out. Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting also you were mentioning how he was talking about how the conspiracy theorists talk
Yeah.
about rabbit holes.
So
And
that's what he
yeah,
did. And so he kind of dissed us
okay.
because our show is a conspiracy theory show.
Uh-huh.
So he's going, well, there is conspiracies and they're real. But you have people out there, and he's kind of like referring to people like us.
Hmm.
They go down rabbit holes and they just make ridiculous assertions.
They call them rabbit
And
holes.
they're rabbit holes. These people are they're doing a disservice because
To the real people
to
like
the
him.
real critic, because I'm actually a real conspiracy theorist. You guys are just like making stuff up,
So you know what that is? That's like the people that um talk about flat earth and make it sound like so ridiculous that
Yeah,
they make it like a joke to everybody else. Like they say that it's like this spinning like flat disc or whatever. And
yeah.
you know what I mean? So to make it so outrageously ridiculous that it makes all the people that are questioning the shape of the earth fall into that ridiculous category.
Well, that's it.
You
And
know?
he brought that up.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting how controlled opposition works, where they hijack a truth like that in order to manipulate their audience. So there is a phenomena where people make ridiculous conspiracy theory claims in order to discredit all conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
So, like for instance, QAnon, he brought up QAnon.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, the ridiculous things that QAnon was saying, what that does is it discredits the real conspiracy because he goes, there's a real conspiracy going on, but all these wacky nut jobs out there, they're discrediting that. But see, that's the insidiousness, in my opinion, of Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Rogan is controlled opposition,
For
and
sure.
he's guiding his audience, which is huge,
Yeah.
away from that country
The,
from 1948
and away from the truth.
and away from the truth, and saying there is a conspiracy because, like you and I have talked about, now it's becoming abundantly clear there's a conspiracy. The
Yeah.
conspiracy is real. The cabal is real. That country from 1948 controls our Congress.
Controls everything.
They control everything. So there is a conspiracy. So now the way that they're defending it, the way that they're fighting back with controlled opposition is saying, of course there's a conspiracy, but it's these.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be talking about those ones that you're talking about. Those are ridiculous.
Right. You talk about the ones that we're talking about in here. That it's like he's serving
Blue pills.
yeah, he's serving blue pills.
He's serving blue pills.
He's just like serving a portion of he's like he's curating
He's
the
curating the content.
conspiracy content.
So he does the same thing with remember I told you he had Chris Robinson from the
Yeah.
Black Crows.
Mhm.
And all they did was just talk about Jamaica and sex and how, Chris Robinson's an armchair occultist.
What does that
And I dabble. I dabble with Satan.
mean?
I come and I hang out with him, but then I go back to my wholesome Christian life. Probably
Right.
not.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what I'm noticing is Joe Rogan's a limited hangout. That's where you go to hear nothing.
Mhm.
And he'll act like he's conspiracy theory minded, but this is what I noticed from watching the Joe Rogan podcast yesterday is he almost tries to portray the conversation as organic and they're just hanging out
Yeah.
talking,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's the
I don't
case.
think so either.
Everything's very controlled with him
Yeah.
and very guided.
Yeah, totally. And he has this delivery like that he's sort of like questioning stuff with his
Yeah.
his person that he's interviewing, like, oh, really? Is that, you know,
Talking about, and he was bringing up all the anomalies from the JFK official story, like the
mhm.
Warren report. That was the ridiculous, like, fact-based report that they came out with. They're like, okay, the Warren Commission, they went and did an investigation on the JFK assassination, and here's their findings. Well, he's pointing out that the Warren Commission report was a bunch of lies. Well, obviously,
Yeah.
they said one bullet hit the one dude 4 times.
So basically what he does is he just talks about the stuff that's already well known out there. So people are already talking about these things and it's kind of gone mainstream. So
Yeah.
he will discuss those points and make it sound like he's on the same page with the conspiracy theories, but he's really not delivering any new information. He's just kind of like making it sound like interesting
I think
and
what he's
conspiracy.
doing is corralling people. So
Mhm.
he wants to keep people on alligator Alcatraz. Alligator Alcatraz is a metaphor for free speech.
Mhm.
So you can only say what you're allowed to say. If you say something about that country from 1948, now the alligators are come snap at you because you're kind of wading into the Everglades. So you got to keep your speech nice and in the prison, right? What Joe Rogan does is guide you back into the prison. So now anybody with half a brain knows that the JFK official story is a lie. Anybody with half a brain can look and see all the anomalies and say, okay, the government killed JFK and they're lying to us about it. Now we're just trying to unpack what really did happen. And so Joe Rogan is saying, no, you're right. The government lied to us about what really happened. But here, keep the conversation about what might have happened in this box.
Right.
We don't want you thinking about those other things because those people pay my salary. And I sold my soul in order to have this big thing. And so don't be talking about my handlers. I think that's kind of
I
crazy.
think that's what it is too. Yeah.
So that's Joe Rogan. He's controlled opposition. But then I also listen to Salty Cracker.
Oh.
And I thought Salty Cracker, yeah, it's kind of, well,
Does he have a big following?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on Dr. Drew. Remember, Dr. Drew was like
Oh,
enamored with him.
Dr. Drew's another one we could discuss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
He's
know,
totally controlled opposition
yeah.
too.
And
Yeah.
Dr. Drew, he acts like he's Mr. Awake
Yeah.
and he's looking at the facts and, he's open to these conspiracy things, but no.
No. I thought so for a while I thought Dr. Drew was um like I thought he was playing devil's advocate in a way to sort of lure the like mainstream followers into his like realm so that he could explain how the cooties and the pokey pokes were all fake and the pokes were dangerous and
Yeah.
stuff. So I thought because he kept acting so dumb all the time and asking like these ridiculous they were just stupid questions, and I thought, well, he's just trying to relate to his audience and get them to trust him. So he's going to explain all this cooties stuff to them. But then after he went on for like probably, I don't know, a good couple years questioning all the cootie stuff, I heard him on Alex Jones, and this was probably maybe a year ago, and he did a complete 180, and he was like, oh, I had told several of my patients to get the cootie shot and it was beneficial to them. And once I heard that, I was like, oh, okay. He was playing the same role as the others, you know.
Your true colors shining
Hmm.
through. That's what you have to do these days because there's so many deceivers
Hmm.
and so many people have, what's that word that you use that I love?
Acquiesce.
Acquiesce.
It's a
You,
cool word.
it's so cool.
Yeah,
And what's going on these days is so many people have acquiesced to the culture club
right.
because it's hard
And it
to,
pays their bills.
well, look at how hard it is to like survive without the
Hmm.
culture club.
Right.
Look at how hard.
Well, you can't really like become A-list or anything without being part of them.
No. So what I'm thinking is everybody's acquiesced, so you have to not trust people. Like you and I have talked about Candace.
Right. Okay, let's discuss Candace.
We've talked about Candace. So I know that you are like, dude, Candace is gnarly. She's
Mhm.
hardcore and she's saying exactly what we're saying. And I'm saying no, but she's saying exactly what we're saying, but she's controlled opposition. She's saying exactly what we're saying, but they're leading you, they're giving you that information on purpose.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure about Candace. I sort of feel like this is my opinion on her. I feel like she because okay, what we do know is anybody who has a following or who becomes A-list, whether it's Hollywood, books, music, politics, whatever,
Podcast.
podcast, anybody, social media who has like a huge following has been put there by the culture club because you're not allowed to have that kind of following.
They've genuflected to the culture club
Yeah,
in some capacity.
right. And we know that. But here's my thing with Candace. I think that she was really young when she started on PragerU, and PragerU, I used to like that too. And they do put out a lot of good information, but they're controlled opposition and they're run by that country from 1948. And so we know that what they are. But anyway, she started out on PragerU when she was really young. And I think she got a huge following when she was there. And then she moved on. And I think her followers, liked her so much that they stuck with her. And so she already had this huge following. And she says that she kind of woke up and she's changed her mind to a lot of that stuff that, you know, those were Zionists and she used to be very more liberal and she kind of started realizing what was going on in the world. And I don't know, everything she's saying now, I am tending to believe her, but I have an open mind and I can see where you're going with it and I can see that side as well. So
Well,
I don't know.
the only thing I always can kind of bring back up though is why does she keep getting foisted? Why does she still have, like you might say, oh well, no, but she gained a big following and now she's just retaining that.
That's what I think.
But why is she allowed to retain it? We've seen how they manipulate so tightly
I
how
know.
many followers you have, how many views. Like if the Culture Club didn't like Candace, they would just have like she would get zero views. They would just have her thing say, "Oh, well, you got 3 views for
Well,
your show."
I just wonder if that because she had so many people following her that they couldn't just make it zero. You know what I mean? Like maybe she's got millions and they only say she's got 500,000. You know what I'm saying?
I
I
think
don't know. I don't,
I
I
think
mean,
well that and that's fine, and I
yeah,
can be open. Me and you don't know.
we don't know.
We have
Yeah.
to guess.
Yeah.
I think she's foisted on people. She's in the culture club. She's somebody who's kind of like Stu Peters,
Hmm.
where she comes out and says, "Yeah, yeah, no, that country from 1948. Yeah, 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 no," and then you go, "Oh my God, this person's telling the truth." But that was what um, Winston when O'Brien told him the truth
To win him over.
to win him over.
So what
Because so the purpose,
yeah,
why?
why yes.
Because remember Operation Pyogo and Operation Zephyr, and we talked about that one dude.
Oh, right.
So
Well, first, I think we should talk about why. I mean, probably our listeners know this, but maybe some of them don't, why there would be controlled opposition like that.
okay, so there was a document from 1905 called the um, Protocols of Zion.
Mm-hmm.
And the Protocols of Zion were minutes from a meeting
Mm-hmm.
that were recorded and then divulged and made into like a book. So this was a bunch of people from that country from 1948, before 1948. So this was prior to the Russian Revolution. And they got together and they're like, we want to, we got to take over this country. And we don't know how we're going to do it. It's a big country. So they thought about it and kind of like Malthus. Remember Malthus? They were like, Malthus, tell us, how can we exterminate the poor? They're useless eaters. How can we exterminate them? And he's like, well, I've given it some thought. And what you do is you corral them into ghettos, and then you can exterminate them pretty easy. So there's people who are evil
Yeah.
that turn off their conscience, and they give a lot of intellectual thought to how to do evil shit.
Right.
And that's what the Protocols of Zion was. In the Protocols of Zion, the thing that they say is the most important to taking over a country is controlling both sides of the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
They say that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Because there's always going to be dissenters and people who question. So they have to control
Corral
that
them.
side too and make them only question so far and only know so much.
So you control both sides of the narrative, and then what I think is going on with controlled opposition like Candace Owens and Stu Peters is they come out and say essentially the truth, but they're not saying the truth in a way to bring about a revolution and bring about a liberating revolution that causes the Renaissance. What they're doing is building a profile on everybody who engages with that content and saying
So they're corralling us.
they're corralling us. So first of all, she's she's telling you the truth about that country from 1948, but she's not prescribing the proper solutions, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
But also, even if she's telling you the truth, she's working for the Culture Club, and the Culture Club is monitoring who's engaging with it because I think we're at this phase in
Plan.
their Agenda 2030, but now Kevin Klein and Bill Gates went to Africa and they said, no, it's actually 1940, it's actually 2045. In 2045. So
We
by
can't
2040,
we can't quite get it done by 2030.
by 2045, y'all gotta die. So that's what's going on. They're pushing extermination into hyper mode, but what they have decided they need to do is all the people that are hip to what's going on with that country from 1948, we need to build a profile on them and find out where they're at and keep tabs on them. That might be what's going on with Candace Owens. I could be a bad person.
It could be.
So, but I know you like to listen to her. I keep going back to the fact that she has an audience. They would shut her down. Or why don't they just Charlie Kirk her in the middle of nowhere? You know?
Should we talk about Charlie Kirk some more?
Also, that was the
Or is
last
this
thing.
another episode?
So now I also watched Salty Cracker
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. So I had some time. And all they're talking about on Salty Cracker is so he's in the Trump cult.
Mm-hmm.
So he is completely hook, line, and sinker swallowing this narrative that Charlie Kirk was a hero and he's a great man and he was murdered by these bad leftists. And now it's a war and Christians need to all come together and go to war against the satanic left. That's the narrative.
Okay.
And then he's gushing over Charlie Kirk's wife.
Mm.
Who, like, we saw the video when she was visiting the body and she's like zooming in on her Freemason ring.
I don't get that.
She's in the Culture Club.
Crazy.
He's in the Culture Club. And the proof that he's in the Culture Club, they have this big, elaborate memorial with Trump attending. I'm not going to probably get that when I croak. You know what I'm saying?
The Indian dudes in Silicon Valley will be like, oh,
Yeah, they're like, we ordered your coffin 4 days ago. It should be arriving momentarily. You just lay down in your coffin and then you push the button and we cremate you in your coffin and then we squirt you on the cross. That's what my memorial is going to be. But so Charlie Kirk gets this elaborate memorial. that immediately made me think of George Bush Sr.
Hmm.
Remember when he croaked a few years ago?
Yeah.
Did you see him toward the end of his life?
Yeah.
He got really kind of weird and he had like a weird, smiley, kind of crazy look on his face. And um, he grabbed his nurse's butt.
What?
You didn't hear about this? Yeah, he totally did. So he's like 93 in
He's
a
like a
wheelchair.
horny old man.
He's a horny old man and he's just like grabbing her, totally inappropriate.
Wow.
Yeah. So he went to hell. So anyways, so he goes to hell. So anyways, but I think what's going on is if you're inner sanctum for Satan's cult, he gives you a big memorial.
Oh,
So that's
yeah.
my theory.
Okay.
So then Salty Cracker, he's talking about this big memorial and he's just enamored with them. But you can see that the narrative coming out of the Trump Elon cobalt blue pill cult is civil war. And this is the final straw. They killed our hero.
So do you think they want to have civil war so that they have an excuse for like martial law and complete digital surveillance?
Yes.
Because they're going to try to keep us safe that way.
Yes.
Okay.
And we've talked about all of the different ways where the digital prison is still just totally being built around
Yeah.
us.
And that would also be a reason for probably having like chips put in people because like that might be to keep us safe also,
Yeah.
right?
You got to be safe. If
Yeah.
you're not chipped,
You won't be able to be protected.
you're not going to be protected.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to keep tabs on you enough.
Right.
Maybe that's what it is. But it's going to be like, hurry up and get in your 15-minute city so we can keep tabs on you. But that's kind of the narrative that's coming out of the Culture Club because the Culture Club is completely using this Charlie Kirk assassination, if you want to say it is. I think Charlie Kirk went to Antarctica. Oh, and that was the other thing. So we watched. So then you have this one conspiracy theory guy, and he's talking, and he shows these videos of
What's
like,
that guy's name?
my name is Kash Patel.
No,
And
no, the
you know,
the guy that does the conspiracy theory videos.
oh,
I
I
don't
didn't
know
catch
his
his name. I
name.
forgot his name.
He's
Shit.
on BitChute. He's got I don't like his delivery. He's very sarcastic. He has this attitude like duh, like you don't know this. Like that's the way he talks, but he does put out a lot of good videos like kind of
Well,
spelling
I
things
liked
out.
him.
You
I
know
liked
what I
him in
mean?
that he kind of understands the dynamics.
He
There's a
does.
culture club.
I think we're more fun to listen to.
We're fun.
I don't think we put people down. Like, and
No,
if they're not quite up to speed, we're not like, duh, you know.
I mean, I'm a bad person. I've put people, but I think what separates us from him is he kind of goes and does these deep dives into the weeds.
Oh yeah, he does.
And he really points out the weeds.
Yeah.
I try to keep myself walking on the fairway and looking over at the weeds, but I'm still walking on the fairway.
Right.
He's like literally, let's go look for our ball over there in the woods.
Yeah.
So he was talking though about so there is Kash Patel, and his name is Kashyap, but he goes by Cash.
Oh, interesting.
And he runs the FBI, and Trump has put him in charge.
And he kind of did a flip flop too.
He did the flip flop.
He was kind of like talking one way before he got into that position, and now he's suddenly like flip flopped.
Specifics?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me.
Oh, he was very seemed like he was totally kind of on our side of things, you know, like with the cooties and everything. And then he gets into this position and then suddenly he's like, you know, they were talking about Epstein and he was talking about how, you know, Epstein probably didn't kill himself and all that stuff. And then he gets into this position and suddenly he's just like, oh no, he killed himself. I totally saw the pictures and everything. And like, we don't need to think about
There's nothing to see.
There's nothing to see here. We shouldn't be like even questioning it
When
anymore.
when somebody kills themselves with a paper blanket and the cameras go off at the perfect time
And the guards are sleeping.
and the guards fall asleep.
Why are the guards always asleep?
The guards fell asleep.
They should be
Butterfly.
paid to take a nap.
Butterfly, I'm getting upset with you now because you're not accepting that happens. The guards fell asleep, the cameras went off, and he hung himself with a paper blanket. And it just happens to be that he had dirt on lots of powerful people. That's nothing to see here. Let's move on now.
Yeah.
But Kashyap Patel, he comes out and he goes, I run the FBI, and we are investigating the Charlie Kirk assassination, which obviously was fake. So, what we have decided was Charlie Kirk is a hero, and I'll see you in Valhalla, buddy.
Yeah.
But
What is this Valhalla?
and
I think it's Antarctica.
it's like, well, I'm from India where we are polytheistic. We practice all gods. And so we just kind of pick and we can choose Valhalla as one of our gods. We
Mm.
can just go there. That's heaven. That's heaven for us. So then there was somebody else who said Valhalla. Like, oh no, it was Alex Jones.
Several of them said that.
So Alex Jones or Daniel Day-Lewis, he comes out and he goes, yeah, no, Charlie Kirk's a hero. He's in Valhalla. He's a warrior king. He's going to Valhalla. So,
Is that like their supposedly their code word for heaven?
well,
Because
Vikings.
I saw there was actually an island that this guy was talking about near New Zealand called Valhalla.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it isn't just Antarctica.
No, he was talking about
You know
Goat
what
Island.
I
No, he
mean?
was talking about Go.
Goat Island, but wasn't there like an area on it called Valhalla?
Okay. Well, Valhalla, according to the Vikings religion, Valhalla is heaven.
Mm,
And the way that you go to Valhalla is you die in battle. That's the only way you get to ascend to
okay.
Valhalla. So there is a historical ethos around Valhalla, but there's this weird anomaly going on, like you're talking about, where there's all these people, you know, kind of referencing Valhalla in the context of Charlie Kirk going there because he's a warrior, so he gets to go there.
Mhm.
So what this guy, this conspiracy theory guy was saying was, no, 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 no. Valhalla is the name of the witness protection program that you go into once you get voted off Pleasure Island.
Mm.
So Charlie Kirk sold his soul to Satan and played a role. And just like Diddy is the baby oil guy.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk is the shot in the neck guy. And now he's not dead, but he's playing poker with Diddy in Antarctica. I think that's what's going on.
Yeah.
I think that's what's
So
going
what
on.
was this Goat Island that the conspiracy guy was talking about?
He was talking about some island that
It was near New Zealand.
well, because it was Charlie Kirk's wife or something mentioned it, and it was like a random thing for her to mention in the context of him. I can't remember exactly how it came up, but what he was saying was
That was witness protection.
yeah. So what he's saying is go is Baphomet.
Mm-hmm.
So a goat is what Baphomet is. And also now they kind of use this term, the goat. Have you heard this?
Yeah.
It's the greatest of all time. But they're saying that's actually a satanic reference.
They're using that as like the mainstream definition, but actually they've got like a hidden meaning for it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on. So I kind of did a little bit of a just kind of catching on to what's going on. I did some conspiracy catch up. There was a couple other things. You want to hear about them?
Yeah.
So
You know I do.
so I watched another one, and the guy said, "Did you know that back in the 80s and the 90s, they had hearings on human cloning?"
Wow.
And it was pretty much asserted in documents in Congress that no, 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 we do human cloning. It's just a matter of ethical concerns at this point.
Well, they were cloning like sheep in the 80s. Remember that was a big deal?
So what this
And
guy's
they
saying
made it,
is they have human cloning.
yeah, they made it out like, oh, we're just now like working on this new procedure and we clone this little sheep. But actually, when they told us that on the news, they had probably been doing it for 50 years already, you know?
Well, that's what I'm starting to realize. When you get divulged something in the news, it's being divulged to you on purpose. They want you to know this.
A little tidbit. So what controlled opposition does is they give you a little bit, a little tidbit of the truth.
Yeah.
So that you go, oh, I thought so. I thought they were doing this. And so you agree with them and agree with their points. And then that makes you trust them. So then you start believing everything that they say. And that's
You know
what
what
they
the
want.
news is like? The news is like this. It's like a girl who comes up to you and goes, you're not hot. You're not hot, but let me tell you how to handle the fact that you're not hot. You're not hot, but still be a good person, still be a nice guy, and still just be very happy with platonic friendship. But you are not hot. No women want you. So this is the facts, and this is how you understand it, and this is how you process it. Okay, now have a nice day. That's what the news does to you. The news goes, here's kind of maybe the truth. They're squirting dead people on the crops in Washington.
But that's only in that one place.
Only in that place.
Only in that place.
And don't worry about it, that's just weird people up there.
Yeah.
No, that's probably a rollout that's going across the country. So that's kind of the way it is, right? So you get a little tidbit of information, but then they try to manage what you do with that information. So they're doing the same thing now with cloning. They're saying, okay,
Yeah, we were doing it.
we did it, but don't worry. I mean, it's not like they're doing it a lot, but they kind of are. So this guy that I can't remember what he was. He was on the cover of Time magazine, so he was some kind of a scientist back in 1971.
And he was part of the Culture Club, obviously,
Oh,
if he
totally.
was on the cover of Time magazine.
Yeah, so he was like Aldous Huxley.
That's like Culture Club Central.
It's a much more efficient model. So, anyways, so he's in the Culture Club, and he comes out, and his statement in 1971 is this: human cloning is real, and there's going to be very, very severe ramifications. And he says that in 1971.
My God.
So now you and I have kind of talked about this at length. Why did they shove a 6-inch Q-tip up people's nose during the cooties?
Right.
In order to, well, you can just grab my mask and get my DNA.
I could just spit into a cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other ways to derive DNA without shoving a Q-tip all the way up my nasal cavity to the point where you're hitting my nasal bone. I think there was two things going on there. They were putting nanotechnology on people's brains, and that's why you see a bunch of walkers walking around mind controlled now.
Yeah.
But also
with Dory syndrome.
The Dory syndrome. So there was literally like nanotechnology on those Q-tips.
For sure.
And then they were also grabbing your DNA.
They were scraping out DNA.
Scraping out DNA. So I think influencers might be made in a lab. I'm a bad person, but this cloning story kind of lends itself to that.
So back to the collecting of the DNA on the Q-tips. Why would they want to get all of that just from like the mass population? Like, why would they? Do you think that they labeled it like, "Oh, this is a good one," or this one? No, don't. We don't want this one.
I think what they do is they take DNA.
Put the bad ones in a different jar.
They were selling it to China, remember? So I think in China, we have labs that we fund that take DNA and do like a deep dive into that DNA. Maybe they look at genetic strains.
I think that wasn't for cloning purposes because they could clone in many ways. I think what they were doing with that is they were studying our DNA probably in certain populations or certain areas, and then figuring out maybe like specific types of like viruses or biohazards, that they could release that would affect certain groups.
But I think also they're analyzing the DNA to figure out who they want to clone. Because I think the post-human world, they're going to have clones. So I think they're going to have humans that are controlled. And that's going to be their labor force.
Right. Because they will need some people to like collect the trash and, do menial jobs that
prostitutes
they don't want to do.
We talked about prostitutes. That's going to be good. It's going to be good to have a prostitute that's a clone because you can just utilize her for that. And then if she gets pregnant, you just kill the clone. You don't even have to do abortions anymore. So there's advantageous to that. So anyways, so that was another thing. I kind of caught up on all my conspiracy theories this weekend because I was kind of gleaning all the information from around the net. But I was like, you know what? That's pretty interesting. I think what's going on is there's a lot of conspiracy talk around the web, but it's all guiding you to the sandbox that you need to play in. Right. I think that's the gist of it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So that was pretty much this episode. I don't know if it had a cohesive message. It was just kind of a conglomeration of things that I gleaned from the weekend that I thought were kind of like Arsenio Hall used to say, make you say,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of most of our episodes make
yes,
you say,
yeah, make you say, hmm.
but I think what basically the conclusion is and the main point is that most, if not all, of the conversations and stories out there are controlled opposition. They're controlling us in a certain way. Either the mainstream isn't controlling us in one direction, or actually two, I guess. They have the right and the left. But the conspiracy theorists that are the so-called ridiculous stories that, as Joe Rogan puts it, are they're guiding us in a certain direction as well
Yeah. Like
to not
Joe
see
Rogan,
the whole truth.
I think Joe Rogan is like the poster boy for control opposition.
He's the total poster boy for it.
So
In
what?
fact, he should have a T-shirt that just says CO on it.
CEO.
Yeah, not CEO, but
No,
CO.
CO. You're CO, dude. Because look at how he talked about the JFK assassination was perfect.
And he's got such a huge following. And I hear people all the time like saying, "Oh, did you listen to Joe Rogan last night or whatever?" Like so many people listen to him and believe him and
He is selling blue pills.
yeah,
And he's selling a very popular kind of blue pill.
and they're like deep cobalt blue.
People are happy to take that blue pill because Charlie Sheen and Chris Robinson are on there, and all the famous people are on there, and people still worship celebrities.
They do. They're followers.
And so they'll go and take a blue pill that Chris Robinson gives them because Chris Robinson gave me this. So this is a tasty blue pill, but it's still a blue pill. Joe Rogan is saying, look at all the anomalies with the JFK assassination. And you go, yeah, me too. I think so. And he goes, no. But here's the takeaway. Don't be talking about that country from 1940.
This is what you believe.
This is what it is. It's these guys in our government. Like he keeps bringing up like government officials in our country that are just corrupt. And you know what he was saying? Um, no, you don't get it. Like LBJ was a good guy.
Boy.
And dude, it was LBJ had the civil rights movement going on and women's rights, and then Nixon came and ruined it all.
Oh yeah.
So that's
Nixon
the
was
takeaway.
the bad guy.
Nixon's the baddie.
Yeah.
But he was in the culture club too.
Yeah.
No. And the 60s was not a good movement. The civil rights movement gave way to DEI. That's all it did.
Yeah.
And free sex and free love just took away 1950s morality.
Debauchery and the downfall of the family unit.
So Joe Rogan is saying you're a bad person, no clicks for you for saying that.
Yeah.
You need to have the takeaway that we have. Me and Charlie Sheen are right.
Totally.
So
that was an interesting.
Should we stop talking?
Should we even say that it was an interesting rabbit hole? Because wasn't that one of his
Joe
points?
Rogan, yeah, he kind of cast aspersions on the whole idea of calling it a rabbit hole. You know why?
To even call it a rabbit hole is ridiculous. We're ridiculous.
See, he's controlled opposition.
Yeah.
So he has an objective. Your takeaway is his objective. And what he doesn't like is that you and I, when we do our show, we take people, our dials go to 11.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do that.
No.
Our dials go to 11, and he's trying to contradict us. So he's saying some of these people go down rabbit holes and they're just ridiculous and they're doing it. So what he was kind of saying about you and me is not only is our show ridiculous, but we're doing a disservice because what we're doing is there is a real conspiracy, but we're like discrediting all of those.
When I hear people start to talk like that, I just kind of immediately go, oh, they're controlled opposition. Because if they're going to discredit us and say we're ridiculous, why? Because we have a different point of view doesn't make us ridiculous.
I think why is because he has an objective.
Right. But if they're just innocently questioning us, I don't think they would have to say we're ridiculous. That reminds me of during the cooties. Remember that doctor, I think his name was Pierre Corey, and he was supposedly this big, advocate for like the whole cooties, like trying to, say how bad it was and everything. But then when Dr. Brian Artis, who could also be controlled opposition, was discussing the ideas that it was in the water and there was snake venom involved and stuff.
Yeah.
This Pierre guy went off and said that Dr. Artis was unhinged and he was like having some kind of psychotic break by saying this and stuff. And
Yeah, see why?
that's so extreme, right? When I heard that, I was like,
Just
whoa,
because
whoa,
somebody
whoa.
has a different opinion
Yeah,
about what might be going on?
I know. I was like, that doesn't sound normal. Like, whoa, like maybe you have a different point of view, but
See,
you're not going to think he's like having a
that
psychotic
epiphany,
break.
epiphany, epiphany.
Okay, what?
That's a hallmark of controlled opposition.
Yeah,
Is
everybody's crazy.
when they're adamant about discrediting somebody else. Because look,
Yeah,
just take a step back and look at the facts. We're all being lied to.
yeah,
So all we can do is guess about what might be going on. So why am I going to get mad at you for guessing? We're
exactly.
all guessing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that is totally, that was my point. Like, what they always try to do is when we question these things or bring up different points, they discredit us and
Here's
make
the
people seem like you're crazy, you
here's
know?
the tone. It's hey, shut up, shut up.
Yeah.
Stop with that guessing. Because those guesses are taking you off of the plantation that I want you on.
Hmm. And that kind of brings me back to Candace because even though she could be going even past Baker, maybe she goes like in
What's that one little thing?
as far as like where the Las Vegas airport is. Like she's on the outskirts. She's like at like almost to MGM. She's on
Her
the
and
edge.
David Icke.
She's on the edge of
Her and
town.
David Icke have the same casino.
Yeah, I mean she might be, but she does like bring up these same points, that how they try to discredit people and stuff, and maybe that's how she gets
Well,
us
this is what
in.
I'm thinking. You and I are kind of pushing the envelope
We are.
because
We're like all the way into like downtown Las Vegas, like Old Town.
yeah, we're at the Plaza Hotel. So, anyways, we have our epiphanies. We have these organic conversations like you and I are having right now. We have epiphanies, and then they ripple through. I know that we're getting influence.
And we talk about them, and you know what else we do? What we don't do? We don't edit. We
No.
just say what we think or what's on our minds, and we say what our opinion is. And sometimes those opinions may be unpopular. Like, we like to talk about like we don't like tattoos and stuff like that. And I'm sure that's extremely unpopular to a lot of people.
Totally.
But you know what? We aren't trying to like be popular. We're just expressing what like our opinions and our observations. And we make commentary about those observations.
So epiphany, epiphany, epiphany
Okay.
again.
Okay.
You're just totally guiding me.
I am.
What an awesome observation you just made.
Okay.
So we're just talking about what is. But what about when we come to a very profound conclusion like we just did? Like we just go, oh my God, this, and this.
Hmm.
And it's undeniable. Anybody with half a brain is going to know that that's true. So now the controlled opposition has to assert that. And they have to come out and say, okay, fair enough, that's true. But here's the takeaway still.
Yeah. Don't believe this, believe that.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So what
This
we
is
keep
like,
doing, we keep divulging new revelations of what is.
yeah.
And they keep going, okay, but still this is the takeaway.
Yeah.
And we're going, no,
This is what you should believe.
that's not the takeaway.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
And I think what we are trying to do is just open up these conversations and, open minds, like
I'm
our
not mad at
intro.
somebody who has a different opinion.
No, and like our intro says, like keep an open mind and consider the unfathomable, because you know, maybe like we might say things here and there that might ruffle some feathers. Somebody might not like one or two things we say, but just keep an open mind because you don't have to agree with everybody on every single point.
No.
You and I
And
don't
if
you and I don't agree on everything. And
no,
that's what makes our
that's
conversations
right.
interesting, right?
Well, and I think maybe that's the epiphany I just had. The hallmark of controlled opposition is when someone is adamant that you don't have the takeaway that you have. Because I say, have whatever takeaway you want and let's talk about it. And maybe I disagree, but you're still, the controlled opposition doesn't want you doing that. They say, no, 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 no. Let me tell you, you need to be corralled back into my plantation. So that was kind of the gist of it over the weekend.
Yeah.
I think
Good.
what
Good
I
homework.
realized,
Good
I
homework,
know.
Firefly.
So people are talking about conspiracy theories. They
Yeah.
are talking about them.
Well, they're
But
getting it's so ubiquitous. Do you like that
I
word?
love that word.
It's just everywhere now. Like I think they can't hide everything like they used to be able to, and more people are aware and share information and talk, and I think more people are onto them.
No, that's
More
true.
people are onto them.
So what do?
They
So
have
you
to
can see the
control they
strategy.
have to control what we learn and hear, talk about.
This is the last thing I'll stop talking. Remember, what's the takeaway from Margot?
I love my husband and I love the Lord, but what else is there in life?
Yeah,
I can be a bottomless pit.
be a bottomless pit. So the takeaway is the key thing. What I'm starting to notice is it's not the thing, it's what you take away from the thing
Mhm.
that is really important to the culture club. So, like when you watch Margot, you go, oh, we live in a dystopia and there's no way we're going to fix it. It's FUBAR. You ever heard that term, FUBAR?
Yeah.
It's FUBAR. So we live in a dystopia that's FUBAR. So just kind of be hot and be a slut. That's the way you deal with the FUBAR dystopia. That's the takeaway, right? What controlled opposition is doing is managing your takeaway.
Totally.
Well, that's really good.
That was
Thank
awesome.
you for going down those.
Yeah. Thanks for doing your homework.
It was great seeing
You
you,
too.
as always.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, talk to you soon.
Bye.